My topic today is on how I learned from elite sports and elite athletes mentalities and lessons to build out my company, which is Bombay Shaving Company. Okay. I am an engineer followed by an MBA from IIM Lucknow. I was a consultant at McKinsey for 5 years. And then I started Bombay Shaving Company in 2016. We have now expanded into becoming 4 companies. Bombay Shaving Company, Bombay 100 Days, and I run a podcast called The Barbershop. But I'm a big fan of sports. I've never played sports at an elite level, but I've watched from football, cricket, tennis, the usual suspects, to Formula One, golf, the Olympics. And recently I was inducted into the Olympic Gold Quest as an ambassador for them. So I got to meet with a lot of Olympians in India who represented India, especially at Tokyo and Paris, and could see their journey as well. So today, there are 7 lessons I wanted to leave with you on what I learned and what my company continues to learn from elite. How many people here love cricket? How many people love Dhoni? Excellent. So I'm going to show you a video, and then I would love to know what you guys think about it. Okay, let's play.
Living soft into the wound that they can slow.
Okay. What did you learn from that? Risk.
Presence of mind.
Presence of mind. Opportunity. For those who didn't follow the video closely, it was a ball down the leg side to Dhoni. Dhoni missed it. It was probably a wide. It went to the keeper. The keeper threw it at the stumps. The ball hit the stumps and lay right next to the stumps. Dhoni was still in his crease. And Raina started running, because Raina was running towards the danger end. Then Dhoni went towards the non-striker end. And they stole 1 run, which also was legitimate. But the real magic happens at that point. You have Matt Pryor, the wicketkeeper, lying on the ground after throwing the ball and thinking his job is done. The bowler has started going back to his run up. And then Dhoni takes a second run with the ball right next to the stumps. And a ball that should not have been even 1 run suddenly became 2 runs. And that's the learning for startups, which is the biggest competitive advantage of someone who's entrepreneurial is that they are able to spot opportunities that nobody else can see. Any average cricketer at the international level would not have been able to get even 1 run off this situation. But Dhoni and Raina were able to get 2 runs. And all the things that you said are absolutely legitimate. Seeing an opportunity no one else can see, taking the risk, having the presence of mind, and most of all, tremendous trust in your partner. In the first run, Dhoni had tremendous trust in Raina. In the second run, Raina had tremendous trust on Dhoni. And they both backed their speed to be able to get to that point. So the small moment, but it teaches us so much about opportunity grabbing and being present in that moment, in that spot. That is Neeraj Chopra. He's India's Olympic gold medal winner at Tokyo, an Olympic silver medal winner at Paris in the male javelin throw. It's insanely difficult what these guys do. But what is he doing?
Mobility training.
That's not mobility, man. Flexibility. What else? Correct. Throwing a javelin requires very specific muscles in your body to be at the most elite level of performance. These muscles go from your glutes all the way up your back, up your shoulder, into your elbow, up till your wrist. That's why you can throw a javelin 90 meters. 90 meters is the length of a football field, by the way. And the javelin is one heavy instrument. Neeraj also has the disadvantage of being slightly shorter than his competitors. So his velocity has to be very different and his angle has to be very different. For him to get that 90-meter throw once every 4 years, he has to build tremendous amount of muscle. But building muscle is important. Building the right muscle is a superpower. And that's the learning for startups, which is when you're doing something 0 to 1, it's okay to build some kind of muscle. It's okay to build an organization that knows how to execute well, knows how to do sales well, knows how to do marketing well. But knowing what part of the organization has to be extremely effective. For example, Bombay Shaving Company is competing with Gillette. We're competing with one of the most successful companies in the world, who's been around for 110 years. We've been around for 8. So for us, we need to build brand building muscle. We need to build sales muscle. Those are extremely difficult muscles to build. So building muscle is important and we'll get there with time. But building the right kind of muscle becomes a superpower. For example, with us, we realized that younger men who need to shave have no muscle memory of what razor to use. They want to be able to talk to their friends and buy a razor. People who are my age, I'm 37. In my generation, men, when they were going to shave for the first time, would talk to their fathers. Today's 17-year-old talks to his friends. Our brand building muscle was so sharp that we were always close to our consumers. And today, when a 17 or 18-year-old boy wants to shave for the first time, he goes and asks 10 friends, well, what's the coolest brand around? It's more likely to be Bombay Shaving Company than Gillette. And that muscle that we have built allows us to take market share very, very disproportionately compared to before. And that's the muscle that we have built. What's the muscle that, how many people here use Zepto or Blinkit or Instamart? One of these three? What's the muscle they built? You think stuff was not available on Big Basket, Milk Basket, Amazon, Flipkart, Kirana stores? Fast delivery. So they built infrastructure, supply chain, technology. That's the muscle they built. कि 10 minutes के अंदर, how do I deliver something to any pin code in the country or in the city? Was the muscle they built. Were they able to build other muscles? Yes. But building that one muscle was the superpower. And that's what differentiates great companies and great outcomes from good outcomes. And that's what we learn from sport, from amazing athletes like Neeraj. But over a period of 3, 4, 5 years, Jadeja transformed into one of the world's most effective cricketers. In my view, he's one of the greatest fielders cricket has ever seen. Yesterday, he got his 300th wicket in test matches. He now is one of only 3 Indian players to have 300 test wickets and 3,000 runs. And he's become almost indispensable to Indian cricket over the last 10 years, not only for India, but also for Chennai, where he plays with Dhoni in the IPL. And they have won multiple things together. Jadeja transformed from being someone who was completely made fun of and trolled violently, by the way, on the Indian internet, to now becoming almost a hero of Indian cricket. Learning for startups or for anyone doing anything entrepreneurial is never ever give up. There's always something in the tank. There's always fuel in the tank. Whenever you feel that you're given up, that this is the last, isse zyada nahi kar sakta main, is the time when you can find that extra fuel. You'll always see athletes, whether it's Jason Lazak, or you see Messi or Virat or anyone, or Serena Williams, you'll always see that there is always fuel in the tank. They'll always find it. They'll always find it. In sometimes very tragic circumstances, like Vinesh in Paris this time. There was fuel in the tank, but the rules were not on our side. But never ever give up. That's a lesson for startups that, again, elite athletes at the top of their game will always teach you. What do you see in that video? But by who? Messi. Was he a leader before?
Yes,
Was he?
he's leading Barcelona for years.
Was he the captain? Captain was Puyol for most of that part. Then Iniesta for a large part. I think Messi has represented Argentina in 2006, 10, 14, 18 World Cups. 4 World Cups, reached the final in 2014 but couldn't win. But 2022, something happened that took Argentina to the finals, to that epic final with France, where they beat Mbappe and the French team. And there was something that had started happening over the last 2-3 years in the lead up, with the Copa America's victory as well as in the World Cup. And that was that the Argentinian coach got the team to rally around Messi like an army around a general. And Messi took on the role of captaincy like he had never done before. He's a very quiet, diminutive, not a very vocal person, even on the pitch, even off the pitch. He's not full of motivational speeches, and he's not full of, aggression, and he's not like Virat that way. He's a very quiet leader. So the Argentinian think tank actually made sure that even small gestures by Messi were followed by the superstars in the Argentinian team. The Argentinian team, by the way, had Angel Di Maria, Lautaro Martinez, Ebi Fernandez, so many people who are like rock stars and superstars in world football. But when it came to Messi, the Argentinian coach, Leo Scaloni, said that you have to keep your eyes on Messi. Whenever there's a small gesture, a small word, follow it like the way an army follows its general. And that led to just razor sharp focus on making sure Messi was effective, but his leadership style created followership among superstars. And that's what I think took them over the World Cup victory in 2022, is that they actually made his leadership super effective through followership by superstars. And in startups, that's what they say. That as a founder, you always have to find talent. You always have to find talent that's better than you, that's bigger than you, that's more than what you can bring to the table. But how do you harness it for your company? Is by creating followership among superstars. And that's the skill that Messi learned from 2019 to 2022. And we saw the impact of it, and I think that's what founders like us have to constantly learn. So if you're going to build a company tomorrow, you are going to have to get comfortable with the fact that you are going to recruit people who are way better than you. But for them to follow you requires a skill that you might need to develop and an environment that needs you to be at the focus of it. And that's the learning for startups from Messi's leadership. That song was slightly inappropriate, but that's the only video we had on this one. But there are 2 videos we saw. One of a father and a daughter, and the other of a guide and his sprinter. But what did we learn from these 2 videos? Sorry? Emotional support.
Trust.
Huh? Trust. The first video showed Andrea Siriux. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but Siriux. She's a British swimmer. She's a style swimmer. Okay, and she narrowly missed a medal in the Paris Olympics, and that was her father showing her all the messages from people who were telling her how inspired they were because of her performance. young girls who want to take the sport because of her. And her father said, we will make sure that you'll do better next time. There's always a next time. Because one doesn't realize that in the Olympics, people give their all, their blood, sweat, tears, everything on that ring or in that pool for those 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 1 minute. And sometimes you just narrowly miss out and you get a podium, you miss a podium finish by something very, very narrow. And it breaks most people mentally. So to have someone around who trusts you, who lets you see the light, like Andrea Sirix's dad, is so important for an athlete. What did we see in the second video? Have you guys seen blind sprinting before? What did we see in the second video? Gratitude, trust. And that's the main thing. So when this is a Paralympic sport, blind sprinting is a Paralympic sport. At different levels of visual impairment, athletes compete in 100 meters, 200 meters relays. This was an athlete competing in the 100 meters blind. And when you're competing in a blind sprint, you typically will have a guide. It's someone who runs alongside you. Your hands are tied by rope. So because now you're running blind and as fast as you can. Can you imagine how much trust is needed in the person? Many times the rope breaks. Many times the rope breaks and you can't stop running. So you have to the person has to start shouting. And you just follow the voice till you reach the finish line. But that's the thing with sports at the elite level is if there is trust, it can move mountains. Blind trust, quite literally, can move mountains. We see people who are visually impaired sometimes do things that well-abled human beings can never even imagine of doing. And that's the learning for startups. Is that sometimes you just need to build a team which can trust each other blindly. I saw that with the TEDx organizing team and talking about like just trusting blindly, or whether it's a startup or any team that comes together to do a fantastic job, to do something that is superhuman. It cannot happen without blind trust. And that's another lesson from elite athlete mentality is that whether it's an athlete and his or her coach, whether it's a blind sprinter and her guide, whether it's a swimmer and her father, blind trust allows them the freedom to actually go and explore their limitless potential. And that's what leads to superhuman outcomes. And that's the end of my talk. And thank you so much for being a great audience.